you've done the action thing, but not like this.
Yeah.
What was it like stepping in? And you're throwing punches. You're getting wild in this. What was it like?
You know, I did a lot of hand-to-hand combat and this type of action stuff in a TV show I did with James Cameron called Dark Angel. And I really haven't been able to do it since then. And it was super fun. It was why I wanted to do it, because it is what I love to do the most. I love to do action. I was trained basically as a stunt person for that show, and I never really I don't get to use that tool. And so I know Jason does his own stunts, and I knew when I would, come and do this movie that I would be able to get physical and it was kind of intimidating, I have to admit, because the first fight sequence when Jason's like sitting behind the monitor, I was like, oh, is he gonna think I suck, or I'm too, weak, or my punches don't look good? And so I did some Krav Maga fighting training prior to going to Thailand, just to prepare myself a bit. And I wanted the fighting to look kind of brutal and not so choreographed, and more kind of instinctual.
Yeah, it looks kind of dirty. I mean, in a good way.
I like that brutal kind of dirty fighting. I think it's fun to watch as well.
Definitely fun to do, I'm sure.
And it is fun to do, yeah, except for when you don't duck your head and you get...
Did you have any, were there any injuries?
You get bruised up, you get a couple cuts, yeah. You get knocked around a little bit.
I love that. You're like, you get a couple, maybe.
It's part of the deal, yeah.
When working with Jason, you guys have a fun little chemistry. That's kind of unique. Not a lot of women get to do that with Jason. He doesn't do a lot of these kinds of romantic roles. What was that like?
Well, I think in these type of genre films, there isn't a lot of love story that's usually there, and he wanted, that was a big part of this story, and that's kind of what drives it forward. So it was important that my character is intelligent, she has a military background, she has a real purpose, she's a social worker, and she has depth. She's not just some random girl who needs to be saved, because if he's really gonna fall for a girl, she's gotta have the type of depth that could rise to his level of discipline, and he's a good guy. I mean, he is a good person, even though he's a brutal assassin. he's an assassin with a heart of gold.
Well, speaking of heart of gold, you do a lot for charities. You that's kind of been something I've noticed about you, and this character does that. Did you bring any of you yourself into Jaina?
No, I mean, I have done a lot of different social work, and I embedded, a social aspect into my business model for my company, and it is important to give back. I did know actually quite a bit about trafficking prior to going to Thailand and understanding just how awful it is and in this part of the world and how prevalent it is. So I thought it was a great kind of issue to highlight because it matters and it is going on.